The rain crashes over New York so violently that the city almost vanishes behind walls of water. Between the skyscrapers, a lone Spider-Man swings through the storm, moving exactly as we have seen countless times before. Then, something feels wrong. He suddenly stops. His instincts are screaming. He lands on a rooftop, removes his mask, and the face staring back at us is Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. The moment he looks up, everything changes. The sky is no longer dark, it is blood red. Hanging above the clouds is another Earth, enormous and terrifying, moving closer every second. Right there, this theory begins with one of the most frightening ideas Marvel has ever explored: an incursion. Two universes preparing to collide. What makes this scene so powerful is Peter's expression. He has faced aliens, monsters, and impossible threats before, but this is different. This is not a villain. This is reality itself breaking apart. Somewhere on that approaching world, people are living normal lives without knowing their existence is about to end. And the worst part is that Peter realizes there may be no way to save everyone. The story quickly shifts to a famous bridge in New York where Deadpool and Wolverine are carrying out a mission that sounds heroic until you understand what it really means. According to this leak, the world approaching Peter's universe is the X-Men universe. Beast has created an antimatter bomb, and the plan is horrifyingly simple. Destroy the other Earth before it destroys yours. The morality of that choice immediately makes this theory feel believable. Nobody here is completely good or completely evil. Deadpool hides the tension behind jokes, but even he understands the stakes. Wolverine looks uncomfortable from the start. Then Peter arrives and discovers the truth. The second he realizes what they are planning, he tries to stop them. A brutal fight erupts. Peter is fighting for innocent people he has never met. Deadpool is fighting for everyone he knows. For a brief moment, it looks like Spider-Man might actually win. Then, Wolverine makes the impossible decision. Ignoring his own doubts, he activates the bomb. The explosion wipes out an entire reality. On the other side, Professor X watches helplessly as millions vanish. It is a shocking beginning that instantly establishes how dark this story could become. After that devastating sequence, the theory takes an emotional turn. We travel back to the period following Tony Stark's funeral. Steve Rogers has remained in the past with Peggy Carter, finally living the life he sacrificed decades earlier. Together, they have built a family, and their son Jamie represents the future Steve never believed he would have. For once, he is not fighting a war. He is simply living. But the multiverse never allows peace to remain untouched. One of the most interesting details in this leak is the role of Loki. He appears not as a villain, but as a protector standing outside time itself. Loki warned Steve that this timeline should not exist. Because Steve remained in the past and created a family, reality itself has become unstable. Somewhere beyond ordinary understanding, forces responsible for maintaining existence may eventually erase everything he loves. Imagine hearing that after finally finding happiness. Loki offers a solution. He secretly moves Steve, Peggy, and Jamie into Universe 828, the Fantastic Four universe. Before leaving, he gives Steve an emergency card and tells him to keep it safe. At first, it seems minor, but stories like this often hide their most important clues in the smallest moments. Years pass in the Fantastic Four universe, and this is where Dr. Doom enters the narrative. What immediately stands out is that Doom is not introduced as a simple conqueror. He arrives as a man obsessed with understanding the multiverse. He approaches Reed Richards and explains that incursions are happening according to a pattern. They are not random accidents. Something deeper, is causing them. Reed investigates and discovers a troubling truth. The greatest anomaly in their universe is Steve Rogers and his family. They do not belong there. The revelation is tragic because Steve once saved existence, yet his presence may now be helping to destabilize it. Reed and Doom temporarily put aside their differences and begin working together. Their goal is to create a device capable of pushing colliding universes apart before they destroy one another. For a short time, cooperation seems possible. Hope begins to emerge. Eventually, they seek advice from an older Steve Rogers. His response is simple: warn Earth 616. If reality is collapsing, every hero must know the truth. Looking at this section, I can understand why so many fans find the leak convincing. The motivations feel logical. Every character behaves in a way that fits their history and personality. When the Fantastic Four finally arrive on Earth 616, the story begins bringing its massive cast together. Their unexpected arrival immediately attracts the attention of the new Avengers. Out of everyone present, Thor becomes one of the most important characters. His daughter Love has been suffering from disturbing visions about universal destruction. Suddenly, those visions begin making sense. Thor approaches the newcomers cautiously, but everything changes when he sees Steve Rogers standing beside Reed Richards. Just think about that moment. Thor believed Steve was gone forever. Then the impossible happens. To prove his identity, Steve lifts Mjolnir once again. That image alone feels like something Marvel would place directly into a trailer. The reunion is emotional, but there is no time to celebrate. Captain Marvel reveals that Maria Rambeau remains trapped inside another universe, strengthening the connection to the X-Men reality. The heroes realize another incursion is approaching. Time is running out. They divide into 3 separate teams. One group will travel to the mutant universe and deploy the device. Another will seek Loki's help. A third team will remain behind to protect Earth 616. Every path is moving toward the same disaster, even if the heroes cannot see it yet. The mission into the X-Men universe delivers exactly the kind of crossover chaos fans have imagined for years. Unfortunately, First Contact goes terribly wrong. Mutants see armed strangers arriving from another reality and immediately assume the worst. Misunderstandings explode into battle. Sam Wilson clashes with Cyclops. Shang-Chi fights Gambit. Deadpool charges directly at Reed Richards because that feels completely in character. What makes these confrontations interesting is that they are driven by fear rather than hatred. Both sides believe they are protecting their people. As the conflict intensifies, another dangerous factor enters the equation. Bob loses control and transforms into Sentry. Suddenly, everyone is at risk. His power threatens heroes and mutants alike. Professor X intervenes, using his psychic abilities to calm him before disaster strikes. Just when peace finally seems possible, another threat arrives. Sentinels attack the mansion. The leak describes a massive battle where Professor X and Magneto unleash everything they have to defend mutant kind. Years of struggle, prejudice, and survival come together in one desperate stand. More importantly, the attack forces Avengers and X-Men to fight side by side. Shared danger accomplishes what diplomacy could not. Trust begins forming in the middle of war, and that trust will soon become essential. While that battle unfolds, another storyline reveals the true scale of the threat. Thor and Steve travel in search of Loki, hoping the Guardian of the Timelines can help them stop the coming catastrophe. Instead, they discover devastation. Everything around Loki's domain has been reduced to ruins. Standing among the destruction is Dr. Doom. This is the moment where the theory transforms from an incursion story into a Doom story. According to the leak, Doom has somehow gained access to Franklin Richards and his limitless abilities. Using that power, he overpowers Loki completely. Then, something shocking happens. He steals Loki's power and ends his life. Whether Marvel would actually go that far remains uncertain, but narratively, it explains how Doom becomes more powerful than anyone else. Thor attacks in rage. Steve joins him. Neither can compete with Doom's new strength. Thor is badly injured. Steve is captured and taken to Latveria. For me, this sequence is crucial because it establishes Doom as more than another villain seeking domination. He becomes a force of inevitability. Heroes who once fought gods suddenly appear powerless. When Thor barely escapes and reaches the X-Men universe, he brings devastating news. Dr. Doom is the real threat behind everything. From this point onward, the emotional stakes rise dramatically. The heroes may still believe they can stop the collapse, but Doom is already several moves ahead. Inside Latveria, he has reportedly enslaved some of the most powerful beings in existence: Doctor Strange, Clea, Scarlet Witch. Just hearing those names under Doom's control tells us how terrifying his new status has become. Yet the leak saves its biggest twist for Steve Rogers. Doom removes his mask and reveals a scarred face identical to Tony Stark. Steve is left speechless. For years, fans have speculated about Robert Downey Jr. returning in a different role, and this theory uses that possibility in the darkest way imaginable. Doom is not Tony, but he wears a face connected to Steve's greatest memories. Then comes the cruelest moment in the entire leak. In front of Steve, Doom kills Jamie. I honestly think this could become one of Marvel's most heartbreaking scenes. Steve spent his life fighting wars. He finally gained a family. Now he watches that family shattered before his eyes. Doom does not simply defeat heroes physically. He destroys the reasons they keep fighting. That emotional cruelty separates him from many previous Marvel villains and makes the final conflict deeply personal. After all that buildup, the story races toward a war that feels less like a battle and more like the end of existence itself. Thor refuses to surrender. Despite his injuries, he calls upon powers older than worlds. His prayers reach Odin, and according to the leak, a divine army answers. Imagine the visual. Warriors descending from the heavens while Jane Foster and Heimdall return to stand beside Thor once more. At the same time, the Avengers gather their remaining strength. The X-Men join them. Wakanda commits its armies. Every surviving force unites against Doom. This is where the theory fully embraces comic book scale. Yet what I appreciate most is that the emotional core remains intact. These characters are not fighting because victory is guaranteed. They are fighting because there is nothing else left to do. Steve has lost his son. Thor has lost Loki. Entire universes have already vanished. The charge against Doom becomes one final act of defiance against hopelessness. Magic, technology, mutant powers, and divine strength collide across a battlefield, unlike anything previously seen in the MCU. Every hero gets a moment. Every sacrifice matters. Yet even while the war rages, a greater disaster approaches. The incursion has finally arrived. This is where the theory becomes truly apocalyptic. Two universes begin crashing into each other. Mountains twist, oceans collide. Reality tears apart. Entire civilizations face extinction within moments. Amid the chaos, Sentry attempts the impossible. Using pure physical power, he tries to hold back the destruction itself. I can already imagine audiences holding their breath during that sequence. At the same time, Reed Richards unveils the life ship he has spent so long preparing. Its purpose is simple: Save whoever can still be saved. The tragedy is that there is not enough time. One by one, heroes disappear into the collapsing multiverse. Some fall in battle. Others are consumed by the incursion. The leak suggests that many beloved characters never reach safety. That detail feels important because true endings require consequences. If everyone survives, the apocalypse loses meaning. Here, survival becomes a privilege rather than an expectation. Reed can only watch as countless lives vanish despite every effort. The war against Doom becomes secondary because existence itself is ending. This is where the emotional weight of the theory truly lands. Maybe the heroes cannot save everything. Maybe all they can do is preserve a tiny spark of hope before darkness closes around them forever. Then comes the image that ties the entire narrative together. Silence. No armies, no worlds, no stars. After the destruction, only Dr. Doom remains. This moment transforms him into something far beyond a traditional villain. He stands alone inside a dead multiverse, holding power stolen from Loki and Franklin Richards. Everything that came before has led here. Every incursion, every sacrifice, every impossible choice. Doom looks upon the ruins and decides that if reality has failed, he will create a new one. That motivation mirrors the most dangerous kind of villainy because he genuinely believes he knows better. Using godlike abilities, he gathers fragments of destroyed universes and reshapes them into a single world. Battleworld is born. What makes Battleworld so disturbing is not its appearance, but its loss of memory. People no longer remember their old lives. They do not remember the heroes they loved. They do not remember the sacrifices that created their future. History has been erased and replaced by a single narrative. Doom saved everything. Doom rules everything. Doom defines everything. In many ways, that outcome is more frightening than destruction itself. Battleworld is a beautiful lie imposed upon existence by one man convinced he deserves absolute control. The final scenes described in the leak feel almost mythological in scale. We are shown a vast view of Battleworld stretching beyond the horizon. Different fragments of reality have been stitched together into one impossible landscape. Standing guard outside Doom's palace is Galactus himself. Think about what that implies. A being once feared as a cosmic force now serves another master. The symbolism could not be clearer. Doom has climbed above entities that were previously unimaginable in power. Inside the palace, the imagery becomes even more unsettling. Doom sits upon a throne not merely as a king, but as a god. Beside him stand Doctor Strange, Sue Storm, and Franklin Richards. They form a twisted version of a family. That detail keeps echoing in my mind because it perfectly contrasts Steve Rogers losing his own family. Doom destroys one family and creates another in its place. Everything becomes a reflection of his will. Even loyalty is rewritten. Even love is reshaped. Looking at this ending, I understand why so many people are discussing the leak. It feels less like a superhero adventure and more like the beginning of an entirely new reality, where truth itself has become fragile. And if Battleworld truly emerges, the next chapter may become a story about remembering what was stolen. When I step back and examine the entire leak as one connected narrative, what impresses me most is how every storyline feeds the same conclusion. The opening incursion establishes the horror. Steve's family establishes the emotional cost. Reed and Doom establish the intellectual conflict. The Avengers and X-Men establish the scale. Loki's fall establishes the rise of a greater threat. Jamie's death personalizes the stakes. The final incursion destroys any illusion that everyone can be saved. Then, Battleworld emerges as the ultimate consequence of every choice made along the way. Whether this leak eventually proves accurate or not, it understands something important about epic storytelling. Spectacle matters, but emotion matters more. We remember sacrifices long after explosions fade from memory. We remember impossible choices. We remember moments where hope survives despite overwhelming darkness. That is why this theory has captured so much attention online. It is not merely predicting events. It is presenting a tragedy large enough to justify the birth of an entirely new saga. And honestly, if Marvel delivers even half of these ideas with the right execution, audiences could witness one of the most ambitious comic book films ever attempted. So that is the complete breakdown of this astonishing Avengers Doomsday leak and the massive Battleworld future it appears to be setting in motion. If even a portion of it becomes reality, the multiverse saga may be heading toward its darkest, biggest, and most emotional chapter yet. Let me know which part convinced you the most, which clue feels suspicious, and whether you think Doom truly becomes the final ruler of existence. Like, share, subscribe, and send your questions and theories in the comments section. I am Liam Harrison from MovieCast, thanking you for staying connected throughout the video.